The sun hung low over the Texas horizon, spilling molten gold across the sandstone cliffs. Wind whispered through the dry brush, carrying the ghostly echoes of distant coyotes. 3 figures on horseback rode into the narrowing mouth of the canyon, tired, dust-covered, and silent. Their badges glinted faintly in the dying light. Texas Rangers. Wade McKinley led the trio, his eyes sharp beneath the shadow of his hat. Behind him rode Boyd Jennings, the youngest of the 3, still clinging to the belief that law and justice were the same thing. Samuel Boone, older and scarred, trailed slightly behind, his silence heavier than his rifle. As the path tightened between the red walls, Wade raised a hand. "Hold," he muttered. His horse stamped nervously. From the ridges above, movement, silent, deliberate, impossible to mistake. Dozens of figures appeared, painted faces, feathers catching the last rays of light. 40 Apache scouts stood like shadows carved from the stone itself. No war cries, no gunfire, just stillness. The kind that presses against a man's chest and makes him question whether he's already dead. "Ambush," Boyd whispered. Boone's jaw tensed. "If it was, we'd already be ghosts." Then, from the ridge, a woman's voice called out, clear, steady, commanding. The Apaches parted as their leader stepped forward. Ayanna, daughter of the old chief, her eyes dark as the canyon itself. In her hand, a bundle of papers, letters, creased and yellowed with dust. "You ride under the star of the Rangers," she said. Her English sharp but deliberate. "Yet the fires of Willow Springs carry your mark." Wade's breath caught. The name hit like a bullet. Willow Springs, the settlement that burned 3 months ago. They'd blamed the Apaches. Everyone had. But looking into Ayanna's eyes, Wade felt something shift inside him. The kind of fear that doesn't come from rifles or arrows, but from truth clawing its way to the surface. Ayanna stepped closer, holding up a letter. This was written by a man named Thomas Brennan. He died with your badge on his chest. He spoke of children taken, sold, and buried beneath lies. You will answer for this. Boyd's voice cracked. That's not us. We didn't. But Wade didn't speak. He couldn't. His silence said enough. The wind carried the sound of paper fluttering. The letter that could burn everything they'd ever sworn to protect. The canyon seemed to close around them, heavy with ghosts and guilt. And as the sun slipped below the horizon, Wade realized the real ambush wasn't the one waiting in the cliffs. It was the truth, waiting inside his own soul. The canyon had grown darker, the air thick with dust and unspoken words. The Apaches stood like statues, their silhouettes flickering in the dying glow of their torches. Every sound, the creak of leather, the restless stomp of a horse, echoed like thunder between the canyon walls. Ayanna approached slowly. Her steps were deliberate, her eyes unblinking. She carried a leather pouch and the folded letter that Wade had seen moments earlier. Behind her, a few Apache scouts brought forward a small bundle wrapped in burnt cloth, marked with the same star the Rangers wore on their chests. Willow Springs, Ayanna said quietly, her voice sharp enough to cut stone. Do you remember that name? McKinley. Wade didn't answer. The weight of her gaze pressed against him harder than any rifle could. Boyd turned toward him, desperate for an explanation. Wade. What's she talking about? We stopped the raid. Ayanna opened the bundle. Inside lay a small metal tag, a child's locket, scorched and blackened, but still bearing initials carved by a careful hand. This, she said, lifting it toward the firelight, was found beside the body of a child. Your badge was buried beneath her. Boyd's breath caught in his throat. Boone shifted uncomfortably, muttering something under his breath. But Ayanna wasn't finished. She unrolled another paper, brittle, stained with age. It was an official requisition form, stamped by the Texas Ranger Office. Names, ages, relocation of minors. These were not raids, Ayanna continued. These were hunts. Children stolen under orders, sold to settlements that vanished in fire when they spoke too much. The words struck like bullets. Wade's mind spun. He'd heard whispers, rumors of rangers gone rogue, missions that didn't make sense. But hearing it from her, with proof in her hands, made his blood run cold. Ayanna's voice softened, but the pain behind it cut deeper than anger. My brother rode with your friend, Thomas Brennan. He tried to stop it. He wrote this letter before he died. She held it out. The parchment trembled slightly in the wind. Wade reached for it, slowly, like a man reaching toward the gallows. The handwriting was familiar, rough and slanted. Wade, if this ever finds you, know that the truth will bury us all, but it must be told. He closed his eyes. The canyon around him seemed to fade into silence. Why show us this? Boone's voice rasped through the dust. If you wanted revenge, you'd have killed us already. Ayanna looked at him, not with hatred, but with something heavier. Revenge doesn't build the world we need. Truth does. And then she said something that would haunt Wade long after the guns fell silent. Before this night ends, you will choose to die with your lies, or live with the truth. The fire crackled. Somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled over the desert. Wade looked at the letter again, the paper shaking in his hands. The flames burned low, casting long, trembling shadows across the canyon floor. The Apaches hadn't moved. They waited in silence, not as executioners, but as witnesses. The desert wind carried the smell of ash and cedar, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Wade McKinley stood at the center of it all, holding Brennan's letter in shaking hands. The parchment felt heavier than any weapon he'd ever carried. His heart pounded in his chest, echoing like a drum beneath his ribs. He looked at Ayanna. You think I knew about this? His voice cracked. You think I'd stand by and let... Ayanna cut him off gently. You wear the same badge, the same silence. The truth doesn't care who looked away. The words hit harder than bullets. Wade turned his gaze to Boyd, the young ranger. Still trembling, confusion written across his face. Boyd, he said, voice low. The raids we did, the orders that never made sense. You remember them? Boyd nodded slowly. Yet, they said the Apaches were stealing kids. But every time, the settlers were gone. No bodies, no graves. He paused, realization dawning. You're telling me we were taking them? Boone swore under his breath, kicking at the dirt. Hell, Wade, don't start believing their stories. You know how this land works. Lies keep peace better than truth ever did. Wade turned to him, eyes burning. That peace was bought with blood, Sam. With children. A hush fell over them again. Ayanna's people watched, but did not interfere. The canyon seemed to lean closer, listening. Ayanna took a step forward, placing the burnt locket back in Wade's palm. My people do not want your blood. We want your voice. You still ride with the badge. Use it to tell the world what it has done. Wade's throat tightened. He could almost feel Brennan's words whispering from the letter. It must be told. He looked to Boyd, then to Boone. We can't bury this, he said finally. We'll go to the Capitol. To the Congress. I'll sign the reports myself. Every name, every order, every crime. Boone's face hardened. You'll damn the Rangers. You'll damn us all. Wade nodded. Maybe that's what justice looks like. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Boyd stepped closer, his young face steady, eyes filled with something new, conviction. "Then we start tonight," he said. "We find the missing kids. The ones still alive. We bring them home." Ayanna studied him. This boy wearing the star of the same men who had burned her people. And for the first time, her expression softened. She gave a small nod. "My scouts will guide you. But if you lie again, the desert will not forgive you." Wade tucked Brennan's letter into his coat. The paper crackled like a spark, waiting to ignite a wildfire. The Rangers turned toward their horses. The night stretched before them, black and endless. Behind them, the Apaches faded into the canyon shadows, their torches dying one by one. The night swallowed the canyon as the three Rangers rode east. Only the wind spoke, whispering through dry sage and skeletal trees. The stars above looked colder than they ever had, as if watching men try to fix something the heavens had already judged beyond repair. Wade led the way, his thoughts tangled between guilt and duty. Every hoofbeat seemed to echo the same word: why? Behind him, Boyd tried to match his pace, his face pale in the moonlight, eyes restless. Boone rode last, his silence sharp as a blade. The silence of a man who'd rather die a liar than live disgraced. Hours passed before the first signs appeared, wagon tracks, half buried by wind. Nearby ashes, a burned cart, scattered toys, melted metal. The smell of old fire lingered like a curse. Wade dismounted and knelt by the tracks, running his fingers through the coal dust. They moved north, he murmured. 2 days, maybe 3. Small footprints. Children. Boyd crouched beside him, staring at a fragment of cloth caught on a thorn. It was pink once, now gray with soot. He swallowed hard. God, Wade. What if we're too late? Wade didn't answer. He looked toward the horizon, an endless stretch of black hills and dying stars. Then we make them answer for every one of them. The riders pressed on until dawn. The sky broke open with a sickly light, revealing the desolation of what used to be Willow Springs. Charred timbers, stone chimneys, standing like gravestones, and the faint outline of streets buried in sand. This was no raid, Boyd whispered. They erased the whole town. Boone spat into the dust. That's what happens when secrets start talking. Wade turned sharply. And what happens when good men do nothing, Sam? Boone's glare met his. But behind the defiance, something was breaking. A crack in the armor of a man who'd spent years pretending not to see. A soft whistle echoed from the ridge. Wade raised his rifle out of instinct, but it wasn't danger. From the shadows, an Apache scout appeared, Ayanna's man, wearing a wolf pelt over his shoulders. He raised his hand and pointed toward the north. "Tracks," he said in broken English. "Children, alive." For a moment, hope flickered, faint but real. Boyd's eyes brightened, and even Boone straightened in his saddle. Wade nodded. "Then that's where we ride." The morning sun began to rise behind them, spilling blood-red light across the ruins. The 3 Rangers and the lone scout rode north, their silhouettes framed against the smoke-stained sky. They didn't know if salvation waited ahead, only that turning back meant dying with their sins. And so they followed the trail of ashes, where truth burned brightest in the dark. By noon, the land had changed. The canyon gave way to open plains, endless waves of dust and thornbrush, broken only by the wind. The sun scorched the world into silence. Tracks stretched ahead like veins across the earth, leading toward the northern hills. Ayanna's scout rode ahead, scanning the horizon. His movements were calm, deliberate. Every so often, he would dismount, touch the ground, and listen. Then he'd look back and nod. Still north, still hope. Boyd rode beside Wade now, his hat pulled low against the glare. "You think we can really bring them back?" he asked quietly. Wade didn't look at him. "We can try. That's more than what we've done before. For a while, that was enough. But hope in the West is fragile. It doesn't last long beneath the sun." The first sign of danger came as a glint in the distance, metal catching light. Then another, and another. Wade's hand drifted toward his rifle. "Riders," he muttered. Boone squinted toward the far ridge. Not Apaches. Horses to clean. Formations too tight. He spat. "Rangers." The word tasted like poison. Moments later, the echo of hooves rolled across the plain. For riders, dust trailing behind them, badges glinting on their coats. They weren't here to talk. Wade motioned toward a cluster of rocks near a dry creek bed. "Take cover." The group ducked low, just as the first shot cracked through the air, slicing into the dirt near Boyd's boot. He hit the ground, heart hammering. Boone fired back once, deliberately missing a warning. But the riders didn't stop. "Damn it," Boone growled, reloading. "They're not after the kids. They're after us." Wade leaned against the rocks, eyes narrow. "They want Brennan's letter." Another bullet tore through the brush, close enough to singe Wade's sleeve. Dust exploded in his face. The scout beside him motioned toward a narrow ravine cutting through the hills. "There, escape path." Wade nodded. "Boyd, move." The young ranger sprinted for his horse as bullets shattered stone around him. Boone covered him, firing twice before climbing into the saddle himself. The chase began, horses pounding through the ravine, wind and grit stinging their eyes. Behind them, the loyal rangers pursued, shouting curses swallowed by the storm. Boyd glanced back. "They'll never stop, will they?" Wade's jaw clenched. "No, not until they bury the truth." The trail twisted between red cliffs, shadows flickering like ghosts. Finally, the scout raised his hand, signaling silence. The sound of pursuit faded into the wind. They had lost them, for now. Wade dismounted, chest heaving. He looked at Boyd and Boone, men torn between law and conscience. "They know what we're doing," he said. "Which means we're close." The scout pointed toward a ridge darkened by smoke. "Camp ahead," he said softly. "Children, maybe they're—" Wade's pulse quickened. He checked his rifle, eyes hard as iron. "Then we finish what we started." The ridge smelled of smoke and rot. Below, in a dry hollow surrounded by dead mesquite trees, flickered the faint orange glow of a campfire. Shapes moved in its light, men with rifles, a wagon, and something smaller near the center. Children. Wade lay flat on his stomach, peering through the scope of his rifle. The scene below was worse than he'd feared. A makeshift corral of wooden stakes ringed a group of frightened kids, dirty, barefoot, wrapped in torn blankets. Around them, 5 armed men drank and laughed. The sound carried upward by the desert wind. Boone exhaled slowly. Bastards aren't even hiding it. The Apache scout crouched beside Wade, whispering to guards on watch. 3 sleeping. 1 wagon heavy, locked, likely where they keep the trade goods. Wade didn't have to ask what those goods were. He'd seen enough to understand. Boyd shifted beside him, his young face pale with anger. "We can take them." Quick and quiet. Boone shook his head. "Quiet doesn't win this fight. Those kids scream, we'll have the whole damn border on us. Wade studied the layout, heart pounding. There was no right way to do this, only less wrong. "We wait until the moon drops," he said. "Then we move." Hours crawled by. The fire below burned lower, laughter fading into snores. Coyotes howled somewhere far off. The desert, for all its emptiness, felt alive watching. When the moment came, it came fast. Wade signaled with 2 fingers. The group moved like shadows down the slope, boots sinking into sand without sound. The scout drew a knife. Boyd clutched his revolver tight. Boone whispered a curse and followed. The first guard never saw it coming. A flash of steel, a muffled gasp, silence. Boyd slipped past him, heart racing, and reached the pen. The children's eyes widened, too afraid to make a sound. "She," Boyd whispered. "We're here to take you home." But before relief could settle, a voice roared from the darkness, hoarse, furious. "Rangers!" Gunfire split the night. Sparks leaped from the rocks. Boone returned fire, shouting, "They're awake!" Chaos erupted. Horses screamed, torches flared, and men stumbled from the shadows with rifles blazing. Wade dove for cover behind a wagon, bullets punching through the wood. "Get the kids out," he yelled. Boyd pulled 2 children through the fence just as another shot ripped through the pen. The scout dragged another toward safety, blood streaking his arm. Boone took one in the shoulder, but kept firing, teeth clenched. "We can't hold them." Wade's rifle thundered once, then twice. One slaver dropped. Another fled toward the horses. Smoke filled the air, thick and choking. In the chaos, Wade saw the wagon rocking, a figure inside, moving. A man's voice shouted, "Burn it all." Wade's stomach turned cold. This wasn't a rescue anymore. It was a race against fire. Flames leaped from the wagon, devouring dry canvas like paper. The desert night glowed orange, painting every face in terror. Gunfire echoed off the canyon walls, sharp and furious, a storm of bullets, screams, and smoke. Wade ran toward the wagon, coughing through the heat. The slavers were scattering, but the blaze spread fast. He saw movement inside, a small hand pressed against the wood, desperate and trembling. "Boyd, Boone, there's someone in there." Boone, bleeding from his shoulder, fired a final shot and stumbled toward the fire. "I'll cover you," he shouted, gritting his teeth. Wade kicked the wagon door open. The blast of heat hit him like a hammer. Inside, 3 children huddled together, eyes wide, smoke swirling around them. He grabbed 2, dragging them out, but the third, a boy no older than 8, was trapped under a broken beam. "Hold on!" Wade yelled, pulling, muscles burning. The beam wouldn't budge. Flames licked his sleeves. Suddenly Boyd was beside him, face blackened with soot. "I got him." He wedged his rifle beneath the beam and shoved with all his strength. It creaked, shifted, just enough. Wade yanked the child free, clutching him close. They staggered out together, coughing, collapsing onto the sand. Behind them, the wagon exploded, a burst of fire and light that threw them both to the ground. The blast lit up the chaos, Boone still firing one-handed, the Apache scout pulling children toward the rocks, and the last of the slavers fleeing into the dark. Then, through the smoke, came a sound, the whistle of a bullet. Boone's body jerked. He fell to his knees, blood staining the dust. "Boone!" Boyd cried, scrambling toward him. Boone waved him off, his voice rough but steady. "Get the kids, outta here." He coughed, eyes flickering between them. "Don't let this mean nothing." Wade knelt beside him, hand gripping his shoulder. Boone tried to speak again, but only managed a broken smile. "You always were too damn noble, McKinley." And then he was gone, eyes staring into the fire that danced over the wreckage. The world went silent for a moment. Even the flames seemed to breathe slower. Wade stood, staring into the inferno, every ounce of rage and guilt burning inside him. "No more," he whispered. "Not one more." He turned to Boyd, voice firm. "Get them moving. We ride for the fort. We'll bring proof, and Brennan's letter. No more lies." Boyd nodded, wiping tears and soot from his face. "He died for this. We won't waste it." As the dawn crept over the horizon, Wade looked back one last time. The camp was nothing but smoke and ash now, but in that ruin, something new had begun. Justice, maybe, or redemption. The children rode between them, wrapped in blankets. The wind carried the smell of burned wood and the promise of reckoning. And as the sun rose over the blood-red hills, the Texas Rangers became something the West had almost forgotten. Men of truth. By the time the sun reached its peak, the fort rose ahead, a squat fortress of stone and timber, perched like a scar against the horizon. The air shimmered with heat. Flags hung limp above the walls. The emblem of the Texas Rangers faded and frayed. Wade slowed his horse, the rescued children riding close behind. Their faces were still streaked with soot and fear. Boyd rode beside him, silent eyes hollow. The Apache scout trailed last, his gaze wary, scanning every shadow. As they approached, 2 sentries raised their rifles. One stepped forward, squinting. "Identify yourselves." "Captain Wade McKinley, Ranger Division 4, Wade said, voice steady. "We bring survivors and evidence." The guards exchanged glances, uneasy. "Evidence of what, sir?" Wade's jaw tightened. "Crimes, by our own." That silence that followed was heavier than any bullet. The gates creaked open, slow and reluctant. Inside, the fort smelled of dust, sweat, and something rotten beneath the surface, the kind of decay that uniforms can't hide. Rangers watched from porches and doorways, their stares sharp, whispering among themselves. Boyd dismounted, helping a young girl down. "Feels like walking into a den," he murmured. "You're not wrong," Wade replied. They made their way toward the command hall. Inside, maps lined the walls, lit by shafts of sunlight cutting through the blinds. At the far end sat Colonel Avery Holt, his silver star gleaming, his eyes cold. "Captain McKinley," he said, not rising. "We heard reports. Something about Apache aggression. Yet here you are, riding with one." Wade stood tall. "That's because the aggression was ours, Colonel. The attacks, the kidnappings, Rangers did this, not the tribes." The colonel's expression didn't change. "You'd better choose your words carefully, son." Wade reached into his coat and placed Brennan's letter on the table, next to a packet of documents and signed confessions. "These aren't my words," he said. "They're the truth." A hush filled the hall. Holt stared at the papers, then at Wade. "You're accusing your own brothers?" "I'm accusing criminals wearing our badge." The colonel leaned back, fingers steepled. "And what makes you think the world cares, McKinley? You expose this, and the name of the Rangers dies with it." Wade's voice was low, but every word cut deep. "Then let it die. Better that than let it rot." Holt's eyes flickered, a shadow of something unreadable. "Leave the documents. I'll see they reach the governor." Wade hesitated. Boyd looked at him, shaking his head slightly. There was something wrong, too easy, too smooth. But Wade laid the papers down anyway. "See that you do?" As they turned to leave, Holt's voice followed them, calm and heavy. "You've made enemies, Captain. The kind that don't forget." Night fell heavy over the fort. The desert wind howled through cracks in the timber, rattling the shutters like restless ghosts. Inside the barracks, Wade sat awake, staring at the dark. Boyd slept fitfully nearby, his gun within reach. The Apache scout sat by the door, silent as a shadow. Then, a sound. Boots. Too many. Wade's instincts screamed before his mind caught up. Up, he whispered sharply. Now? The door burst open before they could move. 6 Rangers flooded in, rifles raised. The light of their lanterns cut through the dark, glinting off cold metal. "Captain McKinley," said a voice behind them. Colonel Holt stepped in, immaculate as ever, his face carved from stone. "You're under arrest for treason, per Article 7 of Ranger Code." Boyd froze. Treason? Holt's gaze flicked toward the scout. Collaboration with enemy tribes. Fabrication of false documents. Theft of state property. Wade rose slowly, eyes locked on the colonel. "You burned the evidence, didn't you?" Holt didn't answer. He didn't need to. The room was silent, except for the sound of wind and boots shifting on the floor. Wade took a step forward. "You'll hang us to protect your chain of command. To protect monsters." Holt's jaw tightened. "You think you can cleanse this organization with confessions and letters? You don't understand what holds Texas together. Captain, order does. Reputation does." Wade's voice was low, raw. "Then it's built on bones." The colonel's eyes hardened. "Take him." The soldiers moved, but Boyd was faster. He drew his revolver, barrel trembling but steady. Nobody's taking him. The tension in the air was like a drawn bowstring. "Boyd," Wade said quietly, "don't." But the young ranger's eyes were wild, a mix of fury and conviction. "You told me the Rangers stood for justice. I believed you. I still do. But this," he gestured around, voice shaking, "this isn't justice." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then Holt sighed. "So be it." A gunshot cracked through the barracks. The world blurred into noise and smoke. Boyd fell to one knee, blood on his sleeve, but he fired back, dropping one soldier. The scout kicked another aside, blade flashing. Wade grabbed Boyd, dragging him toward the window. "Move." They burst into the night as alarms rang through the fort. Torches flared to life along the walls. Voices shouted orders. Boyd stumbled, clutching his arm. "We can't outrun them all." Wade stopped long enough to look him in the eyes. "Then we make it count." They ran for the stables. Behind them, Holt's voice roared across the yard. "Shoot to kill." Bullets ripped through the dark. The scout mounted first, pulling one child from hiding, the little boy from the wagon. Wade hauled Boyd into the saddle, then swung onto his own horse. The gates loomed ahead. Now, Wade shouted. The horses charged. Gunfire flashed. The gates exploded open under the impact, splinters flying into the dawn wind. 3 days later, the storm broke, not in the sky, but across the land. News traveled fast on the frontier. First came whispers from border towns, a burned camp in the desert, children rescued from traders. Then the letter, Brennan's confession. Carried by a sympathetic telegraph clerk who'd copied it before, Holt's men could destroy it. Within a week, the story reached Austin. Within 2, the capital roared. Wade McKinley's name was on every tongue, cursed by some, praised by others. He didn't hear any of it. He was in the hills, tending to the wounded and burying the dead. Boyd lay among them, pale but breathing. The bullet had torn through his shoulder, but he'd live. The Apache scout, whose name, Wade finally learned, had gone to return the children to their families. The wind carried their laughter down the canyon like something holy. For the first time in months, Wade allowed himself to sit, to breathe. At dusk, a rider appeared, a government courier. His uniform was clean, his eyes uncertain. He handed Wade a sealed letter bearing the governor's mark. Wade broke the wax. Inside, a single page. Your testimony has been received. Colonel Holt and 9 others are under arrest pending federal investigation. The Ranger Division is to be reorganized. You are hereby reinstated, effective immediately, to lead the Reform Committee. The words blurred in his vision. Reinstated, as if the blood could be scrubbed clean. With ink and titles, he folded the letter slowly. "Tell the governor," he said, "that reform won't start in Austin. It starts here, where the truth was buried." The courier hesitated, then nodded and rode away. Night fell quiet and cool. Boyd stirred, voice weak. "You think they'll really change it?" Wade looked toward the horizon where the fort had burned, where the children now slept safe. "Maybe not in our lifetime," he said. "But someone will remember, we tried." Boyd smiled faintly. Boone would have liked that. Boone earned it. Silence settled again, soft and final. The fire crackled, shadows dancing like memories across the rocks. At dawn, Wade saddled his horse. The world smelled of rain and ash, the scent of endings and beginnings. He looked once more toward the south, where the Rangers had fallen into disgrace, and then toward the east, where the sun climbed slow and gold. "Ride safe," Boyd called after him. Wade tipped his hat. "Always do." He turned his horse toward the open plain. Behind him, the legend of the Texas Rangers lay shattered. Ahead, something new waited, not glory, not forgiveness, but truth. And as the wind rose over the desert, carrying the echoes of what had been lost, Wade McKinley rode on into history, into redemption, into the long light of the morning.